Lovely, thank you. We've got lots of messages coming through this and you can hear us, so that's great. We'll get started. So hello and welcome to today's webinar from NCFE, T-Level Teaching and Learning Resources. This session is aimed at practitioners who will be delivering T-Levels in education and childcare, health, healthcare science and science, and digital business and digital support services in September this year. The session will last approximately 1 hour and it is being recorded. We encourage questions from participants, so please use the question facility in the webinar control panel on the right of your screen to add any questions or queries you may have. If we are unable to answer the questions today, we will follow them up with our NCFE colleagues and share the answers with everybody. So with you today, you've got Jill, her picture on the screen at the moment. Jill Childs is the systems trainer for the Learning Resources team. Her role is to support centres with the resources that the team have developed, the platforms that they run on, and also to offer support and guidance to ensure that centres get as much as they can out of what the team has developed.
Hello, welcome everybody. My name's Rachel and my areas of responsibility are the digital support services and the digital business services.
And hello from me too. My name's Helen Scanlon. My area of responsibility is in education and childcare. We're also joined this morning by Susan Dublin, our team leader for the learning resources for T-levels, and Susan will be joining us for questions and answers later. Our core purpose at NCFE is to promote and enhance learning, and you can now see the objectives of today's session. And as you can see, we've got quite a lot to offer, quite a lot to cover, sorry, so let's get started. Okay, we're going to have a poll to start us off, and the question we'd like to ask to start this session is going to act as a bit of an initial assessment for us. Please let us know about the types of resources you currently use. If there are other resources not listed on the poll today, please add them to the question section for us instead. But please choose any of the resources that you do use. I'm just going to launch the poll. So your choices in today's poll include online and remote learning activities, classroom learnings using an interactive board, textbooks, worksheets, group activities, guided or independent learning, for example, interactive PDFs, etc., or e-learning, for example, virtual reality, self-study, or revision session activities using technology. So thank you for the people who voted already. I'm going to leave that poll open for a little while, and as I say, choose any ones that you do use, but also tell us any others in the question box. I think it's a sign of the times that the online and remote learning is leading the way for the moment in the poll, followed very closely by the textbooks and worksheets, group activities, and that's what we'd call your normal classroom-based face-to-face activities. We've then got interactive boards and interactive media coming in, and obviously e-learning. It's good to see that some people use VR. If you do, please let us know, and also self-study and revision activities that people do at home using technology that your students will use independently. I'll just leave it open for a little bit longer. As I say, this will help us to plan and develop more of the resources that's going to be useful to you guys. Okay, I'm going to close that poll and just share the results with everybody. So everybody uses online remote, and then as you can see, it works down from textbooks, worksheets, etc., classroom learning using interactive boards, and then your e-learning, and then your guided independent learning. So thanks for that. Going to hand over to Jill now to talk about our teaching and learning resources.
Thank you very much, Helen, for that. So hello there, yes, my name is Jill and I'm the systems trainer, as Helen mentioned before. So thank you for your feedback on the poll. That's really interesting, especially around the areas that you currently use, and then hopefully you'll be able to see what we've developed for you as well. So we're now going to look at the resources we have developed and what is currently in development. So to support the core delivery of the T-level across all subject areas, we are developing both essential and additional resources, and these are directly aligned to the technical qualifications. We have focused our resource development on the areas that have been identified as challenging to teach based on feedback from T-level providers. The scheme of work for health, healthcare science and digital, that's the core and the pathway core, has already been released, and these are available to download on our qualhub under teaching materials. And these are designed to support your curriculum development and planning. They're not mandatory. For those of you who are not yet approved centres, qualhub is our online qualification portal, where you can find NCFE accredited qualifications, learning resources and delivery support. And once your centre is registered, you can search for your subject-related T-level qualification. There you can access the core scheme of work. We will be producing individual sessions and resources which are designed to follow active learning principles. These are including a comprehensive session plan, a range of classroom-based activities, and these are interactive PDFs, which means they can be sent to your students to download and save and can be typed into. This is an excellent way of students being able to refer back to previous work submitted. Alternatively, the PDFs can be printed out and used that way also. There is independent learning and extension tasks and reflection activities, and there is also an e-learning module. We will keep you up to date on timelines for release of these resources, and this will be via communications and your account managers. The e-learning resources have been designed using the accessibility elements within the software to allow students to adjust background screen colours, to navigate through the sessions using keyboard strokes, and to use voice assist technology. These sessions have been designed to be hosted on a learner management system, an LMS, for example, Moodle or Blackboard, or your own on-site platform, or potentially hosted locally and run through a non-LMS platform such as SharePoint or Teams and Google. Our partners, udder, are producing a textbook and ebook for digital health and science, and these are expected to be released ready early 2022. As the Education and Childcare T-level had first teach in September 2020, the core scheme of work and occupational scheme of work for early years educator and assistant teacher are already released and available on qualhub. The core scheme of work has been developed in a thematic approach compared to an element approach for health, healthcare science, science and digital. The additional and essential core resources to support the delivery of education and childcare T-level are currently being amended and will be released soon to Wave 2 providers. A communication will be circulated when this is done. The essential resources are part of our free offer for themes 1 to 5, and we have provided access to complimentary session packs covering some of the key topic areas across these themes. And in addition to the essential resources we are making available free to providers, we have also developed the additional resources, also directly aligned to the requirements of the new qualification. Sessions are designed to follow active learning principles and also include the comprehensive session plan, the range of classroom-based activities, including the interactive PDFs, the independent learning and extension tasks and reflection activities, and home study and extension activities, and the e-learning module. For Wave 2 education childcare providers, a recent communication was sent out regarding sample sessions. Please let us know if you did not receive this, and we can arrange for a copy to be sent. Approved centres will have access to qualhub, where there is a user guide and video support on how to access and download the samples, and we highly recommend centres download these test sessions to ensure compatibility with the platforms you will be running these on and any centre firewall or security issues that may occur. There is also 2 tutor guide and activity packs, one for early years educator and the other for assistant teaching. These documents include a range of suggested activities and experiences for students studying the technical qualification for education and childcare. The activities, mostly group experiences and tasks, are linked to the 12 elements of the core, as well as the performance outcomes of the occupational specialisms. The tasks vary in length and complexity. Some will serve as an introduction, discussions, others as session planning, and others will be useful summaries or extension tasks that can be used at the end of sessions. We have also produced VR resources, and this is Nursery View and Pregnancy View. They have been developed to support education and childcare and health T-levels. There will be more information on the VR resources further into this webinar. We also have the CASH website, where you'll find information on qualifications and services, whether you're a centre or student following the education and childcare or health T-level. There's also information there about CASH Alumni, which is free to register, and there's lots of resource and information to both support teaching and students. And finally, we have worked with Hodder, who have produced a mapping document to current Hodder textbooks on education and childcare, as well as knowledge organisers. These will help you source additional information to help underpin student knowledge. This is very much an interim measure until Hodder have released the education and childcare T-level textbook, which will be very soon.
Okay, thanks for that overview, Jill. I'm now going to run a short video, and what we'd like you to do is to watch a video but make notes related to how you would find the schemes of work on qualhub. So this is an introduction to qualhub and an overview of how to download the schemes of work.
Hello everybody, and today I'm going to show you how to download a scheme of work from the NCFE qualhub. First of all, you need to navigate to the NCFE qualhub site, and this can be found at www.qualhub.co.uk. So we're going to look for the health scheme of work for the T-level. So you put into your details into the search bar. You can put in the qualification reference title, and as you start to type in, you will see that those various selections, choices appear, and then you can see this is the one that you're wanting. So click on that, and this then takes you to an area which gives you information about this qualification. Tells you who it is suitable for, what the entry requirements are, and how the qualification is structured with the core component and what occupational specialisms are available. So we want to have a look at the support materials. So we click on support materials. Now here, if you haven't already, you could download the qual spec. And you've also got access to some sample core papers there. But we're having a look at the scheme of work. So we click on the teaching materials. And in here, you can see is where you would find the core scheme of work for health. So click on to view. And at this point, you now need to put in your login details. At this point, you need to be aware that you can only access this if you're already an approved centre. If you've got problems doing this, then please contact us. So you need to put in your login details. So at this point, you've got the option of putting the scheme of work into your basket. So you click Add to Basket. At the top, you will see your resource basket with one item sitting in it. So click on your resource basket and then New. At this point, this tells you what it is that you're going to be purchasing. Obviously, there's no cost to the scheme of work. So if you're happy with that purchase, proceed to checkout. You will need to put in your organisation name. And if you know it, your centre number. And view summary. So this order is a download order. Once you're happy with everything that you're looking at, then click Confirm Order. So this has now been put downloaded into your resources. So depending on how many other NCFE qualifications you've downloaded, this scheme of work will go in with the rest of them that you've downloaded. So it goes from most recent is at the back. So if you click on the last button, you will see here your T-level qualification scheme of work for health. So click on View Resource. And this will start to download. Now this will download in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And click to access this. Now downloads usually take you to this PC, Downloads. Now all the downloads are sent to you as a zipped file, so it's important at this point that you extract it. So click once and click on Extract All. Now you've got the option of browsing to a different location to save these unzipped files, but for the purpose of this, we will just save them here. So click on Extract. You've now got the unzipped health file. If you click into that, you will now see the whole content of your scheme of work. At this point, you may well want to resave these schemes of work to an area within your college network that is more appropriate for you. But we'll just click to make sure everything's got copied across, okay. And there we have the scheme of works there. So going back into your downloads at this point, this is where you can copy them all and move them to a more appropriate area. I hope you found that useful. And if there's anything else that we can do to support you with downloading these resources, then please get in touch with us at Learning Resources at NCFE, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you very much.
Okay, so hopefully that gave you a brief overview of how to access the qualhub portal and download the schemes of work. If you have any questions, I'm just going to encourage you to pop them into the question box and we'll review them as we go through the presentation. So both the Learning Resources team and the Curriculum Development teams are happy to provide support and guidance for centres, and we're going to run through a summary of how we can do this. Over to Jill for this section.
Yeah, the slides aren't moving on. Could you go to the next slide, please, Helen? That's excellent, thank you. So we have produced a short CPD course aimed at supporting teaching staff new to T-levels, the assessment requirements for T-levels, the roles of employers, and the importance of work placement and the pathways and timelines. So if this short CPD course would be useful to you and your centre staff, then please let us know by registering your interest in the chat box and further details will be sent to you. We are happy to provide centre demonstrations on the resources that have been developed, the platforms they run on and how to access them, as well as centre demonstrations. We can also provide support on the resources developed, how to download them and any troubleshooting you may be experiencing. We run webinars on resource updates and features of the resources we have produced, and we will run closely with the curriculum team on how to adapt resources and to provide suggestions on how to adapt. Regular centre feedback and evaluations on what has been produced is important to us to address any changes that could be made, and your help with these evaluations would be appreciated. Our mailbox is monitored Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and an email response will be with you within 24 hours. We also have regular contact with account managers regarding T-level updates and provide information for communication to centres.
Okay, well, now from the perspective of the curriculum team. In relation to teaching and learning, we can support centres to use and adapt the resources, as Jill just mentioned as well. This also includes how to differentiate effectively, including support and stretch and challenge activities, using resources to plan formative assessment activities, and support to develop your own resources with your own students and context in mind. Exploring alternative teaching and learning methods, and this includes using the resources in different ways, and this has been especially important during the pandemic. We facilitate networking events and sharing of best practice between centres and teaching staff across the country. And we'll do our best to support staff to get the most out of the resources with ideas regarding extension activities, homework or consolidation tasks, and maximising the use of the resources with your students in your centre. We'll also support centres to use the resources to plan and prepare their students for the summative assessment activities. And finally, and very importantly, supporting teaching and learning staff to also develop their students' English, maths and digital skills in the context of their T-level programme and the industry needs. This also includes academic literacies, as these will also need to be developed if the students are going to succeed and progress from the T-level.
Thank you, Helen. We'll now look at the current resources and how teachers might adapt them to meet the needs of their students and the context. The following two examples are taken from the Education and Childcare T-level essential resources. So even if you have not purchased the full suite of additional resources, you can access these sessions to support T-level delivery and understand how the sessions have been developed to be versatile and adaptable. All the sessions that have been developed or are going to be developed include a very detailed session plan, and this can be adapted to suit your delivery to enable you to add in resources of your own, but to still use the session plan as a guide, as well as the reflections embedded in the blended learning. Each e-learning module has a drop-down menu to enable you to move between the screens to get to where you want to and a particular activity. This gives you greater flexibility when planning and adapting your sessions. So we are going to look at Theme 4, Session 7, which relates to elements 3, 10 and 11 of the Education and Childcare T-level, and is about exploring equality and diversity. This example is a starter activity, and the purpose is for students to consider how everyone may subconsciously stereotype. It sets the scene for students to help them to identify stereotyping and reinforces their knowledge of indirect and direct discrimination. Students will gain an understanding of inclusive practices and how they are applied in childcare settings. Helen is going to demonstrate some suggestions on how this starter activity can be adapted, and to finalise the adapted activity, you can still use the reflective question that is embedded into the blended learning session that you could see on this slide. This will prompt class discussion and to consider if there was general agreement on the gender associations across the class, and to ask the group to consider what effect can stereotyping have. You can draw out further discussion from students to ask where they believe these ideas came from, and this will set the scene ready for the next activity, as well as bringing the session back to the blended learning session.
Lovely, thank you. So let's start to explore some of those specific adaptation ideas that Jill mentioned. So the session plan related to stereotyping has an activity based on the teacher reading out words and the students raising their hands. This might work well with your students and current delivery, but there may be situations where this might not work. Students might feel uncomfortable raising their hands in front of each other, and it's a very public way of showing their ideas and opinions in front of their peers. This adaptation relates to using the same words, but adapting the mode of delivery and assessment. Having the words on cards instead can make the activity a little safer and a bit less public. And using images instead of words might make it more fun and engaging. For deeper learning, the teacher might also extend the activity and ask students to carry out a peer review of each other's answers, and that could be the basis of meaningful discussion about the topic and its implications and effect. Another extension activity here could be to ask the students to create their own words and pictures, or then bring in examples from their own practice and experiences.
So some good suggestions there. And for our second example, we're going to stay with the same example of theme 4, session 7 on equality and diversity, and moving the session on to explore inclusive practice. On this slide, you can see that the blended learning session has 3 parts to it and is teacher-led about underpinning students' knowledge on inclusive practice. The session is to explain that inclusion is a process in which we recognise the rights of all children to be included as part of the whole community. As you can see, the first tab gives a definition of inclusion and inclusive practice, and the second tab reveals a quote. Although the quote is thought-inspiring and would prompt a discussion, you may wish to adapt this further to underpin knowledge and perhaps make it a more visual activity, which Helen will demonstrate. This draws on how to adapt from an auditory activity to a visual one. To finalise this, you can still use the last tab about inclusive practice that is embedded into the blended learning session. Ask your students what they think are the benefits of promoting equality, diversity and inclusion, and encourage students to explore the points covered under inclusive practice. Ideally, the students will touch on these points to prevent discrimination, to ensure equality of opportunity, to meet individual needs and ensure accessibility for all, appreciate and celebrate differences and value diversity, recognise and value a range of family and cultural circumstances, ensure dignity and respect from all. But of course, within the discussion, they may also come up with some other ideas of their own.
Okay, so exploring how teachers might adapt that activity. As Jill said, rather than use an auditory method, this could be something a bit more visual to support thinking and development of knowledge of the subject. The teacher could show the image that I'm showing on the screen now and ask individuals, pairs or groups of students to discuss it and what each image represents. Then a support or group discussion could explore the benefits and implications of each of the terms, represented by the dots in the different circles. An extension activity could be based on the students putting themselves in the shoes of an individual in one of the excluded groups, and the remainder of the students could be the others, and explore the possible benefits of having everyone included. Students could act out the scenarios from the images and evaluate how each one might impact on a student. This could be focused on a classroom or virtual learning setting, or set as an extension or homework task, where the students are asked to continue being in the shoes for the remainder of the day or for a set period of time.
Thank you. So for this example, we're just going to move on to a session that we have developed, and the topic is, what is GDPR? You may have similar sessions within your own centre that can be used as an introduction to GDPR. And this sets the scenes for students to understand the main principles of GDPR law and how it is applied in the workplace. This will be really useful for preparing students for placement. This activity has 2 interactive PDS case studies that can be downloaded and saved for students to refer back to at any point. The purpose of the activity is for students to identify the data being handled in the case studies, decide whether the data has been handled appropriately, and make suggestions for improvements if required. There is a discussion at the end to see if the students all agree or have other suggestions.
The digital scheme of work covers this element in Element 8 legislations. The scheme of work suggests that students are given a scenario where they have to analyse the current data collection and processing system, looking at identifying DPA, GDPR risks. This approach could be adapted, and the examples given on the slide make suggestions for this. Teachers could ask students to carry out their own independent research, then set extension or consolidation activities to access their knowledge. These activities could also be completed remotely. Students could then investigate and evaluate a real-world policy or procedure relating to GDPR. For example, maybe looking at their own school and what staff must do in relation to GDPR. Finally, students could then create a digital report reflecting on how the PA and GDPR affects them, and then they could then present their findings back to the class.
As mentioned previously about virtual resources, we have developed two virtual reality resources, Nursery View and Pregnancy View. Both these resources have been adapted to not only work on a VR headset, but can be accessed from a desktop or mobile phone to give users a 2D experience without the use of a headset. Both the resources are free to use and download with the Oculus Go headset. For more information, please visit the CASH website at www.cash.org.uk/CASH virtual resources. Pregnancy View is a virtual reality experience that offers a unique opportunity for schools and colleges to engage and excite learning whilst improving knowledge retention. Pregnancy View can support students' knowledge and understanding within the health T-level and especially the occupational specialism of supporting the midwifery team. Designed in consultation with learners, tutors and subject specialists, Pregnancy View brings to life the biology of fetal development from conception through to gestation and birth in an immersive VR experience. Combined with subject special knowledge, Pregnancy View brings learning to life and gives the clearest picture of the pregnancy journey for both mother and child.
So using this would probably come within the health scheme of work, and it covers this in element A8, providing person-centred care. For the 6 C's of care, compassion, competence, communication, courage and commitment, the scheme of work suggests an activity related to watching an NHS video. This approach could be adapted, and the examples on this slide make suggestions for this. Teachers could use the video in a classroom setting, then set extension or consolidation tasks and activities which could be differentiated further by contextualising the scenarios to match the occupational specialisms. The students could be then asked to produce their own case studies and then swap with other students for completion and marking for further consolidation. Also, Pregnancy View could be used to expand the knowledge and understanding across all occupational specialisms by allowing students to have a greater awareness of the needs of pregnant patients or service users or their family members, to allow for a greater understanding of needs in relation to providing that person-centred care. Finally, a further group discussion or debate could take place to explore the concepts even further, and alternatively this could be a later recap or revision session.
I'm now going to take you through a live demo following on from the video clip you've just watched of qualhub to show you how you can access your T-level support material. So it's important to note here that you don't have to be an approved centre to have access to the support material. So to access qualhub in your internet browser, you can either search for NCFE qualhub, or you can enter www.qualhub.co.uk directly into your URL space at the top, which you can see. And then you'll be directed to this website. So in the search bar, you can either type in your qualification number, that's if you know it, or you could put in your title of your qualification and it'll bring a list up. Another way to access it could be using the menu on the right hand side, and you can go directly to T-levels. Now this is going to show up all the T-levels that NCFE currently offer. So for this example, I'm just going to have a look at the science one just because it's at the top of the list. So there's two ways you can go in to gather more information. You can either click directly onto the title, or you can click onto more information and it takes you to the more information page. So we were on here, you might have seen this in the video earlier on. This page just gives you an overview of that qualification, but also on the left-hand side, you've got tabs, which is support material and qualification specification. These are just quick links, which will just direct you straight to the very bottom of that page. And then you'll see the support material tab, and we've got the qualification specification. So if you click on more information, it gives you more information about what you're about to download. So this is the qualification specification for this particular T-level, and the most up-to-date version will always be able to be accessed from here. You can then go to download, and that will give you a local copy, or if you wanted to view it. Also in this section, we have core papers, employer set projects, and occupational specialisms. So just to make you aware, these are all specimen papers, and these can be used for support or exam practice with your learners, and you can download them by just clicking the download button. And I'm just going to end that demonstration now.
Okay, and as we keep reminding you, please put questions in the question and chat box if required.
Okay, this slide includes some useful links to the udder website. So updates regarding publications can be found here, as well as how to purchase the textbooks and other relevant information. Education and childcare are due for publication very soon. Digital health and science, we expect these to be published around about in 2022, early. And the science T-level, we're working in collaboration with STEM, and they will have a dedicated T-level area for support. And then finally, the Institute's website provides useful information and support for the T-level centres.
Thanks, Rachel, and good morning, everybody. My name's Susan Dublin, so I'm coming in at the end of the session. What I'd like to do is just do a little bit of a poll with you around what type of resources you would like NCFE to develop, and this will inform our future development of resources, but also just gives an idea of what you're looking at what you would like to be developed. And I noticed earlier you talked about online resources, and some people did mention the e-learning resources as well. Just a little bit, if you would put it into the chat box for us rather than a poll, but just some ideas might include, some people have talked about VR, schemes of work, stroke learning. Are those valuable to you? Interactive PDFs and home study and extension activities. Session plans and related resources, are those something that you use and something that you would use going forward? And e-learning or blended learning modules. So if you could just pop some information into the chat box for us, and then we can pick that up, and many thanks for that. And that's all your input will sort of form our ideas and our development priorities going forward. Just also a couple of things while you're doing that as well, just around the education and childcare. Just to let you know, obviously we're just doing a few tweaks to the resources based on feedback from the Wave 1 providers who have been running the education and childcare. And as the comms that came out recently, they said that they will be available in a couple of weeks. But please take advantage of the sample resources on those. Jill also mentioned the What is the T-Level CPD module. This is a module that we've developed to support new teachers into T-levels to understand what is a T-level and the assessment requirements. It's got some interactive activities in that, and you can use that within your own time as well. It's not a long e-learning module, it's just a short CPD module that new teachers or teachers new to T-levels can use to help inform their knowledge around that as well.
Susan, shall I run through some of the questions that are coming in?
Yeah, that would be absolutely great, yeah.
So from Paul Turner said that they are approved for delivery in 2022. Can they download the resources now?
If you're an approved centre and you have access to your portal via your portal access, if you're an NCFE approved centre already, sorry, I'll start from the beginning. If you're an NCF approved centre and you have portal access, so your administration within your college or sixth form college would be able to give you access to that, then yes, you can then go in and you would be able to, I'm assuming you're looking at the healthcare science and digital schemes of work, then you would be able to go in and download them now, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And we have had a question about CPD for staff from Louise, who said she would like some CPD for staff, but so I've asked what type of CPD. So it's kind of a request, but also we've requested some information back. People would like VR training as well.
Okay, well, Jill has produced some videos on VR using Nursery View, which will possibly support that, and that could be something that, even if it's not sort of specific to your area, it is actually showing how to use the Nursery View app. But we are looking into sort of VR and what we can do, and again, we're producing a lot of short sort of information videos. So we'll take that one away and look at how we could come up with something for you. And then it means then, rather than sort of having to join a webinar, or, you know, when we know teachers are very strapped for time at the moment, you know, it's a very busy period for you, then you can view the videos and then you can ask questions of us afterwards. But that will be something we'll take away, but we are looking at that as well.
Lovely, thanks, Susan. We have got people asking for the What is a T-level CPD link, so we'll follow that up after this session. Paul's asking about blended learning courses, especially for science. Is there anything particular for science that we're doing?
Yes, we are developing the resources from feedback, from insight feedback, from survey feedback, from providers. We are developing the resources specifically for science, for healthcare science and for science, and it's the core pathway B1. So we are developing resources in that area. We will be releasing details of the resources and you know, through the comms and through your account managers. So keep an eye out for that. So that will be coming out in the next few weeks.
Lovely.
We are definitely focusing in on the science area, because we have had feedback from the providers who are delivering healthcare science and science. Yeah.
Yeah, and what Paul's asking about as well here about example experiments to be carried out. So there's some specific things around the core elements that people are asking for, and that's what you've already collected, isn't it, as a team?
Yes, and obviously, you know, put the information I get from today as well, we can take that away and just say, you know, the resources that we're developing is what Jill's told you about, which is the sessions. So we're developing individual sessions in the key challenging areas that centres have given us insight into, and, you know, we're still attending, we're getting provider engagement feedback. I recently attended a couple of trip meetings with ETF, with providers on the areas for support. So if you can put that in the chat box as well, we can look at taking that away.
Lovely, thanks, Susan. And there's also the question about textbooks, because obviously centres are starting delivering in September, but we're saying that Udder are going to be publishing the textbooks until the spring or early next year.
It's going to be early next year, so it's going to be earlier than the education and childcare. But you know, we are working with Udder and they are aware of this. What they did do for the education and childcare is they did a mapping document, and that's not necessarily what we can do for some of the digital resources. But what they have talked about, and I have regular meetings with them, is to produce some knowledge organisers. So they're looking at doing that to support centres until the books are released.
And yes, absolutely. The knowledge organisers, I know for the education and childcare providers who started in September 2020, they found them very useful. So I would recommend looking on Udder's website itself to see what they've done for education and childcare, so that you'll get an idea of the similar things for the other T-level areas. I know Paul's asking to book a centre training session. I know we are already running, obviously this is one of them, but we're already running a series of CPD and support webinars at the moment. So your account executives will have all the information related to them, and they'll be publicised on our website. So if you want bespoke training, please get in touch with us. But if it's something that we're already delivering, please access it. And we do record all of our sessions and make them available on our YouTube channel, so you can actually also see all of the sessions that we've already delivered in relation to T-levels as well.
Just to add in around Udder as well, if you wanted to link into their website, the link is available on the teaching materials page in the education and childcare T-level. So if you're approved centre, you have your portal access. If you go on the teaching materials, there's an access to the Udder website, which tells you the materials that they've pulled together for education and childcare.
Excellent, thank you. And we've got Anna asking about employer insight videos as a possible resource.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. We do work with stakeholders, and again, it would be something we could look into going forward.
Lovely. And I mean, we're already working in collaboration with video making companies, aren't we, with the education and childcare route? So it's work in progress.
We're exploring different areas. We're always looking for different ways, and to support providers. And Rachel touched on STEM. STEM are producing sort of a dedicated sort of site for science, but what they are doing as well is they are going to use our schemes of work and map to that site as well. So map to that site for at the minute we've just got them, what they're working on that now while they're working on that their dedicated page. But what they will be doing is using our schemes of work, and they're going to map into that dedicated page resources specifically around the science area. So again, for teachers who are teaching health, healthcare science and science, there will be that opportunity to use those resources as well.
Lovely. And I know the team have done a lot of work on hard to teach areas, and you keep asking for input and guidance from centres as to what they might find hard to teach. And obviously every centre is going to have a different sort of answer for that as well, aren't they? So please, this is a plea from us to you guys, is to let us know which are the areas you'd like us to focus development work on.
We've had quite a lot of information in from centres, and we're constantly sort of reviewing that. We've had quite a lot, inside data from the survey that went out before Christmas. We get feedback constantly, and I meet, as Jill mentioned, I meet regularly with the account executives and with the curriculum team as well on the back of sort of provider engagement calls. So all of that information is being fed into how we've then gone ahead and looked at what we're going to develop, and it's basically based on feedback from centres and from that inside data.
Yeah, brilliant. And from the curriculum team's perspective, we do multi-centre webinars, but we also do single centre meetings. We do consultations with centres throughout the academic year. So we do collect your ideas and requests on a regular basis because we do meet you every term. So yes, that those one-to-one meetings that the LTR have also been involved in have been really useful. We've got a question from Veronica about the approval process and how soon they'll receive a login. Do you know how soon after approval the admin at the centre would get the qualhub login, Susan?
I don't, but your account manager would be able to help you with that. So if you want to contact your account, you should have a dedicated account manager. And if you want to contact your account manager, they can give you support on the approval process and where to go.
Thanks for that. And we also had a question about a video or similar for health that shows procedures taking place, for example, taking blood pressures. Are there any videos like that in mind?
That's, you know, something we're also always looking at, and we're looking at working with third parties to try and develop those type of resources. So, you know, any feedback that we have, yeah, we would be taking forward, and we will look at what we can do to support. But I do understand, obviously, with the current climate, it's quite difficult to go into live environments.
Absolutely, but things are improving, so hopefully by September start we'll be in a much stronger position. Yeah, and that's great because Veronica's meeting with her account manager tomorrow, so she'll be able to
All right, brilliant.
follow that up tomorrow. So that's excellent. That's all of the questions covered so far. As I say, we keep all these questions anyway, so we can go back to them and revisit them and make sure that we have covered them all.
We're always looking for new ideas, and you know, and it's feedback from centres, and we're lucky as in we get a lot of feedback back from the curriculum team and from the account executives and from, you know, surveys, you know, so we do act on that, and we've done evaluations with centres. We've won centres on the resources that we've produced so far. So, you know, we're always looking at trying to improve and you know, develop the resources to support providers.
Lovely, thanks for that, Susan.
Okay, we've reached the end of today's webinar. We would like to thank everybody for their attendance and input and hope that you found it useful. Please continue to add any questions if you haven't already had the opportunity to do so. And we'd also like to encourage everybody to complete the short evaluation survey as you sign out of this webinar. This will inform our future development of our webinars and support offer to yourselves. Again, many thanks. We look forward to working with you in the future. Goodbye. And from everybody at NCFE, stay safe.
So we'll just keep the session open for the moment, and we've got a few thanks in the question box, but I was just going to keep an eye on oh, we've got Louise has sent us an example video as well, so we can have a look at that and see how that might fit in.
Great.